The wildfire season continues because we have this dry air plus strong winds lingering over the peninsula here. The big fires from last month thankfully have been put out, but we're still seeing these smaller scale fires here and there, which all have the potential to spiral into larger fires under these conditions. On the other hand, people have been really generous in helping with the wildfire recovery efforts, setting a new record for donations. It's really amazing. It's great to see people help out. But the best thing you and I that we can do is what? Prevent wildfires by staying vigilant. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Wednesday, April 9th on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you're all doing well on this really beautiful Wednesday morning. The sun is shining, at least thus far, through our little window here in Centum City. The thing is this, though. It was quite windy yesterday, although it was nice and warm. And by now, we know this, right? Windy spring days. Yes, kind of nice to have the breeze, but that also equals high wildfire risks. So smaller fires continue to pop up across the country, most of them from negligent action. By whom? By us. So again, it's crucial to remind ourselves to be careful, to be vigilant when handling anything that may be flammable, to not burn trash, any farming debris, and definitely do not smoke anywhere near forests. But for the big Gyeongnam, Gyeongbuk fires from last month, help has been pouring in. So according to the Gyeongbuk Provincial Office and Charities, the total amount of donations for the fires has come to 112.4 billion Korean won. This surpasses the 80 billion won from the East Coast fires back in 2022. You remember those as well, right? And this marks the highest amount in disaster donations, the relief donations. The bulk of the money, about 92 billion won, came via charitable organizations, along with 13 billion won directly via local governments and 6.1 billion won through the hometown donation system. I'm so glad that this donation culture is kicking strong right now in Korea. This actually doesn't include donations that came into Gyeongnam and Ulsan. So, the final amount is likely to go up. And considering that the economy has been less than optimal, this amount, I think, is even more meaningful. The fact that people may be struggling financially a little bit right now, but still donating, that tells us volumes about the character of the Korean people. And again, the atmosphere. It's so dry right now, and winds still strong in some areas. So once again, let's be careful when handling anything that can ignite. Now, I hope you're ready for our text topic. So here we go. Do you tend to believe things that you see or read or hear, whether it's on the news, from the media, or maybe even from anyone you know, right? Maybe even your boss. Do you take it at face value? Or do you tend to be a little suspicious? Or you go right into the whole fact-checking? 자, 나는 뉴스나 매체 혹은 그냥 남의 말, 직장, 동료, even your boss, 얘기할 때 나는 그 정보를 믿는 편이다. 혹은 듣자 말자, 보자 말자 조금 의심하는 편이다. 팩트 체크 들어가세요. Do you fact check everything? So we're talking about news, media, acquaintances, even family members. Do you fact check them, or are you just kind of accepting? So tell me about your stories. You can send them into BFM's live chat on YouTube. We're streaming live right now. Go to the YouTube platform and you can check out our channel. Yes, you can subscribe. You can log in and chat with our other wavers. Also, on your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can also reach me for free through Kakao Talk as well. The good thing there, you can send in your messages, and if there are any photos you would like to send, you can send them there as well. The ways you can listen to our radio program. Various ways on the radio. If you're in Busan, we have 90.5 or 103.3 FM. Once again, radio in the Busan area. Like I said, we're streaming live right now on YouTube. You can watch again at your leisure. And also, we have two apps, the BEFM app itself and also the Patbang app where you can listen to 와글와글. So, it is Wednesday already, if you can believe. So, we have Leon with What's in the Now. The segment is In the Now. And then we have Jennifer with Skills 101. For our special interview today, it is very much a domestic issue. So we're talking about the Commercial Act Amendment. So for those of you who follow the news, just last month, the National Assembly here in Korea passed a major amendment to the Commercial Act, the 상법 개정안. However, it was vetoed. So we're going to talk about the people who support this, the people who are against this, and how this could impact the corporate culture here in Korea and the responsibility, the fiscal responsibility. That is coming up with an expert in hour number 2. I'll be back with today's headlines. It's now 7:06. These are today's headlines. Acting President Handoksu holds first phone talks with Trump. Acting President Handoksu held telephone talks with U.S. President Donald Trump, marking the first direct dialogue between the leaders of South Korea and the U.S. since Trump's inauguration in January. Handoksu appoints Ma Eun-hyuk to Constitutional Court, nominates 2 justices. Acting President Handoksu yesterday appointed Ma Eun-hyuk as the 9th Justice of the Constitutional Court and named 2 nominees to replace 2 outgoing justices to the opposition party's objections. Korean won falls to lowest level since global financial crisis. The Korean won fell to the lowest level yesterday since March 2009, coming to 1,473.21 against the dollar at the close of market. North Korean soldiers cross military demarcation line, warning shots fired. South Korea's military said yesterday it fired warning shots at a group of armed North Korean soldiers who briefly crossed the military demarcation line, the MDL, inside the demilitarized zone, DMZ, around 5 p.m. yesterday. White House confirms 104% tariff on some Chinese goods. The White House confirmed that the 104% tariff on Chinese imports will begin at midnight Wednesday local time, as President Donald Trump's retaliatory tariffs against 60 countries are also set to go into effect at the same time. These are today's headlines. It's time to say hi to Sue for Busan Updates. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yay. So first of all, we want to get your take on this whole, do you believe in everything you read, listen to, hear from other people? Or do you tend to kind of be a little suspicious? Do you fact check?
There was a friend who tried to brainwash me with conspiracy theory.
Ooh.
In Canada.
Okay. Spill the tea.
And scarily, I became to believe some of it. And it was depressing to live with a life with that kind of lens to see the world, darkest way.
Oh, so, like everything's like a conspiracy theory?
Yeah, so it was very sad and depressing. So after that, I was like, no, I don't want to live like this.
I see.
I want to live with hope, you know what I mean? So I take things with a grain of salt. So I would rather fact check everything and do a lot of research. If certain topics come up to my mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you do fact check. I see. Well, thanks for sharing some insight into your personal beliefs. First, we're going to talk about this. Busan's going to expand support for small businesses and traditional markets with an emergency budget.
In response to sluggish domestic demand and reduced consumer spending, the city will launch 14 initiatives totaling 468.8 billion won to assist struggling small businesses and market vendors.
Yes, so we want to know about the small business support first.
So a key measure includes the introduction of the 3-0 Hope Link card program, and this will provide up to 5 million won in operational funding to 40,000 small business owners, interest-free with no annual fees or guarantee fees. And the city will expand interest subsidy support to further reduce the financial burden on small business owners. And in addition, the city will further assist 200 small businesses facing crisis but trying to recover by offering personalized business consulting, operational improvement funds, and financial support.
I see. So now we need to know how the city is going to boost consumption and also market vitality is so important.
Yes. As part of efforts to stimulate both online and offline business, the city will host the Busan Sale Festa, which is a promotional campaign aimed at supporting local shopping districts like neighborhood commercial zones, university areas, and small businesses with online storefronts. And to increase foot traffic and spending in traditional markets, a new initiative will provide a 10,000 won 온누리 gift certificates refund for customers who spend 50,000 won or more at traditional markets. And the city will also raise the Dongbaekjeon local currency cashback limit to 500,000 won and increase cashback rates to 5 to 7% until June this year.
Wow. So while that's going on, we need more information regarding the recovery support as well.
For small business owners who have closed their businesses, Busan will launch the Hope Double Savings Account program to help them build financial stability after reemployment. And employers who hire former small business owners will receive employment incentives as well.
I see. Well, thank you for letting us know about all this support for the businesses. And next, let's talk about our city, Busan, launching something called Midlife 신중년 internship program, and this is all about creating jobs. So about 300 jobs, I hear.
Yes. So the program offers employment incentives to businesses that hire job seekers aged 50 and older, covering part of their labor costs to encourage recruitment of mid and later career talent and ensuring that their valuable expertise continues to support the workforce in an ultra-aged society.
Right.
And with a total budget of 700 million won, two programs will be operated. One is Busan 50 Plus Internship. Excuse me. Companies that newly hire workers aged 50 to 64 will receive up to 1.8 million won per person in support. And the other one is senior internship. And job seekers aged 60 and above will be provided with on-site training. And companies that hire them can receive up to 5.5 million won per person in hiring subsidies.
Oh, wow. So tell us more about the senior internship program.
So, Catherine, if you remember, in March, the city announced to offer job incentive payment to senior employees. And the companies with financial incentives to hire more senior workers. So at the end of March, 33 companies have already hired around 100 senior workers. And the city plans to have an additional 150 individuals with employment opportunities by the end of the year. And internship placements under this program include roles in construction, education services, business facility management, and support services.
Yes. So for people who want to apply, where can they get further information?
Interested companies can visit the Busan Plus portal at busan50plus.or.kr.
I see. So thanks for letting us know about this. I'm sure it'll be of benefit to so many people out there. Next, let's talk about Busan's setting the table, so to speak, for the world's 50 best restaurants.
So after being featured in Michelin Guide, Busan is now taking bold steps to join the ranks of the world's 50 best restaurants. We call this W50B. And the city is aiming to host the prestigious Asia's 50 best restaurants event and position itself as a leading food destination in Asia.
Well, I like the goal. So what's the strategy behind this?
So to build momentum, Busan is rolling out a series of food-focused events throughout the year. And as part of this effort, it recently held the FAM, which is Familiarization Tour, inviting top culinary experts from 5 countries, including chefs, critics, and W50B regional chairs. And the tour showcased everything from traditional local food like pork soup, 돼지국밥,
Sure.
grilled tripe, 곱창, and raw fish, 회, to high-end Michelin-starred cuisine using regional ingredients like 기장 anchovies and 대저 짭짜리 tomatoes.
Oh, nice. Yes.
And the tour started at the bustling Busan Cooperative Fish Market and gave visitors a taste of the city's diverse and vibrant food culture.
Yes.
And on the second day, a roundtable was held with Busan City Mayor Park Kyung-jun, local and visiting chefs, and food industry professionals to explore future collaboration and international promotion. And to support the initiative, Busan has appointed Choi Jung-yoon, W50B chair for Korea and Taiwan as a policy advisor.
Okay.
And the city also plans to strengthen its chef community through events, forums, and official recognition, starting with plaques, presentations to all 48 Michelin-listed restaurants in Busan this year.
Okay.
And an international gastronomy forum with the world-renowned chefs is also planned for later in the year.
Yes, yes. So hopefully, we have been endeavoring to become, a coffee city, and now, fine dining, and plus all the local just food. Hopefully, we get to that goal. Next and last, come or go check out 65,000 tulips. Oh my goodness, my favorite flower in bloom at the Hwamyeong Ecological Park. So tell us more about this.
Right. We love tulips.
Yes.
But cats, Catherine, as we're a cat owner, cats are allergic to tulips.
Highly poisonous if they,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, so have to be careful.
Yes.
Anyways, Nakdonggang River Management Office has announced that 65,000 tulips were planted at Hwamyeong Ecological Park last year, and they are expected to reach full bloom in the second week of April.
Yes.
So they're planted across a 4,000 square meter flower garden near the parking lot. And but despite the winter chill, 11 vibrant tulip varieties are now bursting into bloom, bringing a colorful celebration of spring to the park.
Sure.
And the tulip display is just the beginning. Summer and autumn flower gardens are also planned across the Nakdonggang Ecological Parks. And in addition, to add more charm to the park experience, themed gardens and scented flower trails are also being developed in Samnak, Hwamyeong, and Mekdo ecological parks as well.
Sounds just so beautiful, even just like you describing them. So maybe our listeners can go check these tulips out right here in Busan. So thank you for all the Busan updates, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
All right, back to you, the listeners. Let's get your traffic and weather report out to you. Let's talk about the traffic that's going on right now as we speak at 7:18 on this Wednesday morning. There's an accident on the Dongso overpass going away from the city on Pumnikor ramp right now. Also, it looks quite busy from Manduk intersection to the Namhae Expressway, right at the Gupo Nakdonggang Bridge. Traffic building on Nakdong Namno from Hadan intersection to Hagwon Bridge. Looking slow on Gwanmun-daero from Pangnam Tunnel to Baegang Tunnel. Also congested on Luno Samsung-daero from Ulsukdo Tollgate to the Myeongji Underpass. As for the weather, it's currently 9 degrees Celsius here in Busan. Clear skies. It's going to warm up to 19 degrees today. But there is a chance of rain in the evening. And as you can hear, there's a big gap between that, the current temperature now and later on. Across the country, cloudy with rain forecast from Jeju, moving nationwide by the evening hours. Some areas will see Hwangsa yellow dust with that rain, but the air is still quite dry and will remain so until the rain comes. So, once again, let's be careful when handling fire or flammable materials. This was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for News Digest. We have Haley in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, so text topic before we get into the hard-hitting news. Are you a skeptic? Are you a believer in anything you read, hear?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Because I think you and I, maybe it's an occupational hazard. Do you feel the need to fact check
At least three sources.
If you,
Yes.
and then if like in your chat room, somebody sends you a link or a statement that's like not quite correct, you're like, well, actually, it's my New Year's resolution to correct people less. I've failed miserably thus far. I don't know. We have 8 months left.
Yes.
Yeah. So 제 동생 and then our producers. Well, it also, again, depends. If it's information, I'm going to vigorously fact check it and be like, 근데 사실은. It's like, actually. But if it's like product recommendation,
Right.
I'm so like weak-willed, spineless. My wallet's like ready to burst.
You're like, I'm so there.
And I'm like, oh, you liked it? Okay. What's the link? Like,
But that's like the best, getting recommendations from
Right.
people that you trust.
word of mouth
Yes.
is so important.
So
Yes,
strong.
Exactly. So yeah. It's like, oh, where'd you get that? Can you send me the link? Yeah.
All right, so it depends.
Yes.
We're going to jump into our first bit of news. Well, now we have details on that first phone call that I mentioned in the news between acting President Handeok-soo and U.S. President Donald Trump, right?
Right. So long-awaited phone call. The two talked on the phone for about 28 minutes last night. This is the first call since President Donald Trump's inauguration, and also the first call between the two countries' heads of state since that martial law imposition last December. So President Trump, he had a clear agenda from what he talked about this phone call via his social media platform.
Right.
He said that, quote, South Korea's tremendous and unsustainable trade surplus. He also brought up issues of payments for, again, quote, big-time military protection we provide to South Korea, unquote. So again, it goes back to the military cost sharing for U.S. troops stationed in South Korea, which has been an issue for President Trump since his first term. So he blamed his predecessor, Joe Biden, whom he called Sleepy Joe again, for stopping what Trump calls military payments.
Right.
And although it's not true because Trump's term ended, the first term ended in the middle of the South Korea-U.S. negotiations for the request of higher cost burden. So that request has actually never been lived out. But anyways, it seems to be a tactic for Trump to wield the tariffs to get him favorable negotiations on other issues. So for Trump, he said that South Korea and other countries are bringing up other subjects that are not covered by the trade or tariffs and getting them negotiated, which he dubbed as one-stop shopping. And he called that a beautiful and efficient thing.
I see. So that was the first conversation. But once again, didn't South Korea and the United States sign a military cost sharing agreement just last year?
They did. The two countries signed the Special Military Agreement, the SMA, Special Measures Agreement, SMA, last year. That will go into effect on October of 2026.
Yes.
That includes an 8.3% increase or 1.5 trillion won increase in overall military cost sharing for
Yes.
South Korea, and that reflects inflation. But given Trump's position, it has been expected that he will try to go back on this agreement.
I see.
So the South Korean government has been preparing for this, but the key is right now how much leverage Seoul will have given, when the tariffs are played into the issue.
Right.
In any case, as for acting President Handeok-soo, he gave an interview with CNN after the phone call. And during this, he said South Korea will negotiate and reaffirm the two countries' strong alliance. And when asked whether South Korea might band together with other countries like Japan and China, as it was raised last week, to push back against the tariffs,
Right.
Handeok-soo said that he won't really fight on the matter and not take that route, instead go the negotiations route.
So we have clarification on that as well. Okay, well, for now, we're going to move on to something very important here domestically, the presidential race.
Right. So names are being thrown into the race. Labor Minister Kim Moon-soo yesterday, he resigned from office and threw his hat into the race officially.
Yes.
So Kim has been the front runner in several polls for the ruling party. So this announcement, it is expected to set forth action by other potential candidates.
Yes.
And another one is Representative An Cheol-soo, who also declared his candidacy in front of the statue of Admiral Lee Sun-shin in Gwanghwamun Plaza yesterday.
Okay.
An said that he is the best man to resolve the medical crisis, him, of course, having been a doctor in his previous career, and that he can mobilize the moderate vote. And former party chair Han Dong-hoon will hold a press conference tomorrow in front of the National Assembly. Daegu Mayor Hong Joon-pyo will step down this week and declare his bid sometime next week. Now let's move on to the opposition party.
Yes.
Democratic Party chair Lee Jae-myung will reportedly step down from his chairmanship actually today and declare his bid next week. He's looking to form a campaign team that encompasses members from the former Moon Jae-in administration. Gyeonggi Governor Kim Dong-yeon is going to declare his bid today, this morning at 9 a.m. from Incheon International Airport. This is before he goes to the U.S. for an emergency visit to respond to the tariff issues.
Right.
So he is really focusing on his economic background, judging from the location choice. And actually, though, Kim is going to keep his office for the time being, at least during the primaries.
Okay.
Former lawmaker Kim Joo-gun already announced his candidacy, so this is a lot of names that we're going to hear in the next days and weeks.
Several names. So, yes, the race for the presidency has begun, and this is urgent, especially given what's been going on in the global economy. We just mentioned a little bit of that, right?
So we're going to expand on that issue further because, it is what it is. It's a top story.
Yes.
So President Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs will go into effect on the 9th, that's local time, Wednesday. So that is a 25% tariff for firms that do not produce their things in the U.S.
Yes.
So the White House stated that 50 countries have contacted the United States and many world leaders have flocked to Washington already. But again, going back, despite the phone call between Handeok-soo and Trump, South Korea's leadership vacancy, at least the presidential vacancy, is posing some concerns.
Indeed. And so let's also take a look at the state of manufacturing right now by major South Korean companies because, we're so export-driven, obviously.
We really are.
Yes.
So Samsung Electronics actually announced their operating profits for the first quarter yesterday. It was better than market expectations, although down by 0.15% from a year ago.
Sure.
But the chipmaker expects an operating profit of 6.6 trillion won with its sales at 79 trillion won. So experts said that this performance may be attributed to the popularity of their newest cell phone, the Galaxy S25 smartphones that went on sale in February.
Right.
But here's the thing, including that cell phone, Samsung produces its appliances and electronics overseas,
yes,
including Vietnam, which has been hit with a 46% tariff. I think one of the biggest, I believe. Thailand, also high at 36%, and China, 34%. But then overall, as you said, 104% given adding all three tariffs together.
Right.
Keep in mind that these tariffs are not based on where the company is from. So
right.
In this case would be South Korea, but where the goods are manufactured, thus Vietnam, Thailand, and China. These semiconductors, the chips are also manufactured across Asia as well. Another top electronics firm, LG, its quarter one Q1 figures came to 22 trillion won in sales.
Yes.
The biggest for the company ever, way above expectations. But LG also has its factories in Vietnam, and laptops and monitors are produced in China.
True.
So experts say that given LG's profit structure, it will face losses if it doesn't raise its prices, but then higher prices make it less attractive.
Of course.
It's a conundrum for sure.
Right. I mean, who wants to pay more for something that costs a certain price and then, maybe
But then, they might have to pay more anyways, as, we've seen tariffs do lead to higher prices.
Yes. And now for our final story, we're going to go to the war in Gaza, where Israeli soldiers are facing scrutiny over killings of Palestinian aid workers.
Right. So this has been one of the most controversial issues this past week.
Yes.
So on March 23rd, 15 emergency aid and response workers were killed by Israeli soldiers in southern Gaza. So So there are crew members from Palestinian Red Crescent Society, Civil Defense, and even some from the United Nations.
Right.
So, of course, always if we see medical professionals or aid workers killed, that draws condemnation to begin with. But this time, why is it so controversial? It's how they were killed. And also the fact that Israel's story changed from when it happened to very recently.
Okay.
So first, Israel originally said that the troops shot the workers because the workers' ambulance approached, quote, suspiciously in the dark without headlights or sirens.
However, it seems that there is evidence to the contrary that may not have really happened that way.
Well, there's video proof of that. So in a newly released video by the New York Times, and the video was filmed by one of the paramedics who was killed, it shows that the vehicles had clear blaring lights. The sirens were going and the workers were in reflective vests.
Right.
So the Israeli Defense Forces, or the IDF, they insist that at least 6 of the medics were linked to Hamas. There's no evidence of that, at least so far. So it admits they were unarmed when the soldiers opened fire. What's more, this was only a week later the killings when Israeli military gave permission for the rescue teams to approach that site.
Yes.
And when they did, they found a massive grave with the bodies of the soldier, or bodies of the first responders, with the crushed ambulances in it.
I see.
The forensic analyst who examined 5 of the bodies said that it seems they were shot at close range, which is what we call execution style.
Right.
So basically, the soldiers presumably could see that the workers were unarmed, but shot them anyways. The IDF says it is reinvestigating the incident.
Unfortunate. Anytime we hear about aid workers in any part of the world being killed like that. Thank you for all the news. We'll check in with you in hour number 2, though. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
All right, we are due for our first song break. This is 너를 위해 by 임재범 as requested by Benny.
어쩜 우린 복잡한 인연에 서로 엉켜있는 사람인가 봐. 나는 매일 내게 갚지도 못할 만큼 많은 빚을 지고 있어. 살아가도 괜찮은 걸까. 그렇게도 많은 잘못과 잦은 이별에도 항상 거기 있는 너. 날 세상에서 제대로 살게 해준 유일한 사람이 잡아야 할 테지만 내 거친 생각과 불안한 눈빛과 그걸 지켜보는 너. 그건 아마도 전쟁 같은 사랑. 난 위험하니까 사랑하니까 너에게서
That was a really good song choice. A little high on the high notes, right? I'm sure many of you were singing along. Thank you for that, Benny. So today's text topic is this: whether you tend to believe things that you see, read, or hear. The news, the media, your friends and acquaintances. So looking at some of your messages, your responses, English Wiki says, I'm generally quite skeptical about everything, unless I know the source is reliable. And they continue, I grew up in a family that was into conspiracy theories, which is one thing that made me a skeptical person. You know, though, I think skepticism can be healthy. 무조건 그냥 다 믿는 것보다 그래도 조금은 의심하는 것도 나쁘지 않을까요? 저는 그렇게 개인적으로 생각합니다. That's just my personal opinion. Benny says, I always do fact checking, and the reason, sometimes I think we need to verify what is happening. Yes, indeed, especially when it comes to news, right? We don't want to just believe everything that you hear. The instant someone sends you something or a feed or, you know, on social media especially, we got to be really careful as well. And Umberto says it does depend on who provides the information and the level of news. Like, was it a car accident versus was it like martial law, like something very different? So he says he will fact check before he can believe it. For now, though, let's get to Cat's Pick for today. For today's Cat's Pick, I saw this story. I couldn't resist. You know, I'm a sucker for animals, right? Well, what about, have you heard about Romulus and Remus? These are two snow white dire wolves that have apparently been brought back from extinction. Yes, there's a question in my voice. Here's a clip from ABC News.
We turn now to that remarkable scientific breakthrough. 13,000 years after the last dire wolf walked the earth, scientists say they've now brought them back.
Tonight, a howl 13,000 years in the making. In a first for science, biotech company Colossal Biosciences says it brought the extinct direwolf back to life, a species that hasn't walked the earth since the Stone Age.
The direwolf is the first de-extinct species.
Well known from HBO's hit show Game of Thrones, ABC News given exclusive access into Colossal's lab in Dallas, where scientists are using genes from gray wolves to create dire wolves.
We've taken a gray wolf genome, a gray wolf cell, which is already genetically 99.5% identical to dire wolves, and we've edited those cells at multiple places in its DNA sequence to contain the dire wolf version of the DNA. That animal looks like a dire wolf, it will behave like a dire wolf, and it is a dire wolf.
Now, 7 months old, dire wolves Romulus and Remus eating well and getting bigger every day.
The company tells us they're not stopping there. They plan to have woolly mammoths roaming the earth again by 2028. But critics argue that this de-extinction could harm fragile ecosystems.
I read some of the comments on these stories, on this clip especially, and people were like, is this like the beginning of Jurassic Park? Like, are they going to be able to bring back like all the creatures from way back when? I don't know. But some scientists do question, like, is this really a dire wolf? That's one issue. But another thing that I just wanted to throw out, the Romulus and Remus, the names come from Roman mythology. Rhea Silvia was a mortal, and she had twin sons with the god Mars, and their names were Romulus and Remus. So I just wanted to give you a little more information. This was Cat's Pick for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for Lianin in the Now. Good morning.
Good morning, Catherine.
Oh, did you know I was going to do the dire wolf story? Can you get closer to the mic?
Oh, yes.
Just
Good
pull it towards you.
morning.
Yeah, yeah.
Good morning.
You match the beautiful like ivory white color of the dire wolves. The previous
dire
story.
wolves, yes.
너무 딱 잘 어울리는.
네, 여기 약간 베이지 톤이 있습니다.
네, so pretty.
Thank you.
Yes, so our text topic today.
Yes.
I want to know. I want your take on this.
Yes.
Are you the type that like takes everything at face value, whether it's news, media, something you see on social media, your friends, your boss,
Yes.
then your hubby, or do you like scrutinize? Are you skeptical?
Let's talk about the products purchasing because I did hear Haley talk about it before. It's like, 뭐냐고 링크 줘. Because I kind of like that. For me, when I purchase something,
Yes.
it depends on who's telling me. For example,
so true.
my mom keeps on telling me this myth that 현미 오일을 머리에 바르면 계속 좋다고 현미 오일을 사라는 거예요. But I don't.
You don't subscribe
그런
to
것
that.
좀 믿지 말라고. It's internet. But I recently bought a robot 청소기. And now all these 너튜브 people, there's so many people who review all these electronics goods.
Yeah.
And they like test out everything, like all brands, like 닦는 정도. And then I just click it, one of my favorite 너튜브.
Yeah.
And then I just take
Trustworthy?
everything for fact and just purchase whatever he or she tells me. 이거 맞아. 바로 사야 돼.
This is,
But
I
that is
trust
like,
the source.
Yeah, so if my mom's listening, she's probably upset. But 엄마 얘기 안 들어. 너튜브가
no.
얘기한 사람 바로 purchase.
Don't mushy the mom. No, I know you mean it just for certain things.
Yes,
but
just for certain things.
What are we talking about in the now today?
Yes, so first off, have you heard of the word dupe?
Dupe. I know what dupe is. It means like it's like a duplicate.
Yes,
It's not real, like a copy.
Right,
Is that what you're talking about?
It's a copy.
Yes.
So it's basically a trend these days to purchase dupe items, I guess. Items that are a copy of something more high end. So it's really reshaping how we shop. It's not just a new aesthetic or this certain viral product. It's kind of like a full-on cultural shift in the way we spend called the dupe trend. Again, it is short for duplicate, and it refers to affordable alternatives that mimic the look, the feel, the function of the high-end items.
Okay.
So from major SNS platforms to stores like Olive Deng, dupes have become, a very, very big amongst these so-called smart consumers.
Sure.
Who like to, showcase what they got, this new deal on their SNS as well. And so the new mindset is basically, I'm sure you've talked about this before. YOLO is something of the past now. You only live once. It's yo-no, right? You only need one. So
Yo-no.
Right, yo-no 하는 거예요, 살 때도. So that is kind of the trend. So we can also say it kind of like this. We're moving away from 가심비 to 가성비. Do you know what 가심비 is, right?
What 가심비?
가심비는 약간 가격 상관없고 내가 좋으면은 되는 거지. It doesn't matter. My 심리 is my psychological happiness is worth it all. I don't care about the price. 가성비 is obviously
Is
the
it worth
price is so important.
Right.
Yeah, that matters to my happiness.
Right.
So
I have a question. I mean, so we went over this. So is duplicate dupe? Yes, it's the shortened form because people are asking. Just in case you missed it the first time we went over it.
duplicate, yes, dupe.
Also, is it the same? Like, are you talking about knockoffs versus like a product that is inspired by something that is really like, luxurious and kind of expensive?
That's a good question. A knockoff would be kind of illegal, right? So they are pretty much inspired
by a certain product.
I haven't seen any lawsuits going on by the higher end brands, putting a lawsuit on these other brands who are making it pretty obvious that they are kind of going for that image, the look,
the aesthetic of something.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no legal problem seen yet. So we can't really say it's a knockoff, but they're very, very much influenced by these.
Okay, so to me, like a direct fake would be if you say this is a 샤땡 something.
Right.
And it like you're using that logo.
Oh, right.
And
That's definitely not the case.
That's illegal.
Right.
Yeah.
That's definitely not the case.
Okay.
Actually, the branding. So I'm going to talk about some of the products that's been doing so well, that's been known as the epitome of the dupe culture.
Okay.
Which is one product, I don't know if you've heard. I've had friends who talk about this. You know, 다이땡, 모든 것을 다 파는 다이.
They have
다 있는
everything.
곳. Right.
Yeah.
They were selling this one color balm, which is like your shade. balm인데 그 블러셔로 쓸 수 있는 건데 it's only 3,000 won apparently, so it's quite cheap. But this was aimed at duplicating the 샤땡 balm, which has been so popular here in Korea.
I see.
So that went so viral, and apparently they some major media outlets did an interview with the CEO who launched this brand because their revenue jumped over 140% in a year by selling their duplicate version of the 샤땡 balm. And the thing was, I actually looked at the product itself.
Yes.
It doesn't, like you said, look like it, to be exact. It has, it basically is so cheap. The reason why they were able to make it so cheap because is they have minimal packaging.
Okay.
They don't really do advertisement. They don't have the frills. It's just a performance. And that's why 가성비가 너무 좋았던 거죠.
And word of mouth, obviously.
Right.
Whoever's using it.
Right. So this is why it helped it do so well. And one other thing, have you heard of the Lidl thing? You've heard of that, right?
Yeah.
And you know how they've been selling out like crazy. Did you know, I actually looked into today, this morning, did you know that product is the duplicate of something else? But it's a duplicate of something that's being sold in Olive Thing. And we think Olive Thing도 좀 가성비 괜찮은
Pretty good.
Right.
It's not like department store level.
Right. But 그것보다 더 a duplicate. So basically, the ingredients, I guess, what goes into this little thing was very similar to serums that were being sold at Olive Thing. So that was what they were aiming at. So 거기까지 갈 필요도 없다 이거죠. 이제는 다이땡 가서, people are looking for these dupe items.
We have a question.
Yes.
Somebody wants to know 효과 성분 등 다 똑같은지 do we know? And don't we have to be like careful as, you got to do the reading on the packaging and all that, right?
Right. But, Korean, I can't be for sure. Like, I can't fact check for our listeners. But apparently 그 성분이 너무 비슷하니까 굳이 why pay higher? Because when we're paying for a product, we're paying for its branding, its marketing, where it's being sold.
Of course.
But all of that is taken out if it's being sold at somewhere like Taiping,
Right.
So
in theory, but also
in theory,
we all have to do quality checks.
Yes.
Check out the information for yourself because,
right.
But
people say the reason why it's so popular is because the ingredients are quite similar.
Okay.
And also there was actually one of the most talked about. This dupe culture is not just in Korea. It's also obviously global because we're not in an economically good time.
Yes.
So there's this website actually. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say the website, but it has the word dupe in it. Basically. And this is what I think. This is a part of it that really led the trend because I actually went onto this website as well. What you can do is say you have a photo of something high end, whether it's like a furniture or like a bag or a pair of jeans. You put in the link to the item or you put in the photo itself.
Yes.
And it gives you a search of all the items out there online
that
looks like it, but in a different price range. And it categorizes by different price range.
But when you think about it, like the idea isn't like entirely new because like from back in the day, even when you go through like fashion magazines, they always give you like the high-end haute couture.
Right.
And then they give you kind of the street, like, can we afford this kind of price range?
Yes.
They give you alternatives, right?
Right. It's quite similar. And now I think the thing is people are not shy about it. They're actually think the sentiment is changing from 조금 부끄럽다 or to be like more boasting. I can just why not? Dupe is
Why
fine.
not?
Yeah,
Get a good value.
get a good value. So this website has been doing quite well. But we did talk about lawsuits earlier. Actually,
Yes.
last year in August, a major U.S. home goods retailer, they actually filed a lawsuit against this website.
Okay.
Because they claimed that the site encourages unfair competition by curating products that closely resemble the protected designs, the patented
okay.
designs, right?
So we gotta be careful.
They're not really selling anything directly, but they're kind of encouraging the consumers to do so, right? So there are some legal boundaries that these websites are working with.
Yes.
These dupes, though, like I said before, they're not counterfeits. They're
Right.
not a straight up copy. They still sit in this legal zone. So I think there is a fine line between being inspired and straight up imitating the
yeah.
product itself, right?
Right.
So
And we don't want to be literally duped into buying something like we think it's this brand A, and that's how they package it, and,
Right.
But then it turns out it's a complete fake or counterfeit.
yes.
So that's definitely not what we're talking about.
I've had an experience.
Yes.
Do we have two more minutes?
Yeah,
yes. 별스타그램 공구. Do you know that they don't have that in the US? It's not as big. It's big in Korea.
Oh, in Korea.
So I looked up the English translation. It's called like group purchase.
Group purchase.
I actually, have you done it before?
In Korea.
In Korea. So we all got it as an ajumas. So I've done it because their price is so good. I've recently found out the bag that I wanted to purchase was a dupe.
Oh, really?
I didn't know.
A dupe or a counterfeit? Like
almost
almost
a counterfeit slash dupe.
Really?
근데 너무 예뻤어요. 그래서 어떻게 이렇게 디자인이 and leather. It's a bag and it's so cheap. But
so we gotta be careful.
So I don't know if I want to buy it anymore because
Right.
I think anyone can tell. I'm not into like major high-end brands, so I didn't know. But anyone I think will know because it was a very famous brand.
I see.
So let's be smart consumers.
Absolutely. But thanks for bringing this whole trend to our listeners. That's the whole point of this segment, to
Yes.
let us know what's trending, but also to also kind of warn us too.
Yeah, so be
To
a
be on
little
the
bit
lookout.
conscious if
Yes.
you want.
Well, thank you for letting us know about the dupe era, and we'll
Yes.
check in with you next week, right?
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, Leon. So it's time to wrap up this segment, actually the first entire hour. We're going to end it with this lively song. This is Love Dive by Ive. Enjoy. I'll be back at 8.
네가 참 궁금해 그건 너도 마찬가지 이거면 충분해 좋고 좋는 이런 놀이 참을 수 없는 이끌림과 호기심 묘한 너와 나 두고 보면 알겠지 눈동자래로 감추고 있는 거 Yeah, it's so bad, it's good 난 그 맘을 좀 봐야겠어 Narcissistic, my god I love it 서로를 비춘 밤 아름다운 까만 눈빛도 빠져 깊이 난 내게로 숨 참고 last step 마음은 이렇게 알다가도 모르지 사랑이라는 건 한순간에 필 테니 직접 들어와 두 눈으로 확인해 내 맘 가장 깊은 데로 오면 돼 망설일 시간은 3초면 되는 걸 Yeah, it's so bad, it's good 원하면 감히 뛰어들어 Narcissistic, I gotta love it 서로를 비춘 밤 아름다운 까만 눈빛도 빠져 깊이 chocolate type.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전 기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참! 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
Did you know that an average person in South Korea uses more than 10 kilograms of disposable products a year? While convenient, it does weigh heavily on the environment as they take up to 500 years to break down. Here is how we can cut down on disposable products. First, use tumblers and mugs instead of plastic or paper cups. When you go grocery shopping, bring a reusable bag so you won't have to ask for a plastic one. At home, instead of reaching for single-use paper towels or wet wipes, use rags and towels. These small steps for the environment can have a big impact on planet Earth. This campaign was brought to you by BEFM Busan 영어방송.
김밥가게 박 사장님도, 문구점 김 사장님도, 우리 부산의 경제를 움직이는 사람들. 우리 동네 작은 가게로 향하는 발걸음이 우리 부산의 경제를 키워가는 한 걸음입니다. 부산 방송광고 발전 협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there,
there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded. What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock. It's time for news highlights. Acting President Handoksu holds first phone talks with Trump. Acting President Handoksu held telephone talks with U.S. President Donald Trump, marking the first direct dialogue between the leaders of South Korea and the U.S. since Trump's inauguration in January. Following the telephone talks, Trump said on his Truth Social platform that he discussed with Han South Korea's trade surplus with the U.S., tariffs, shipbuilding, the two sides' joint venture in an Alaska pipeline, and what Trump called the big-time military protection for South Korea. His remarks signal that he is looking at comprehensive negotiations that address not only tariff issues but other bilateral matters. Handoksu appoints Ba Eun-hyuk to Constitutional Court, nominates 2 justices. Acting President Handoksu yesterday appointed Ba Eun-hyuk as the 9th Justice of the Constitutional Court and named 2 nominees to replace 2 outgoing justices to the opposition party's objections. Han nominated Minister of Government Legislation Lee Won-gyu and Seoul High Court Judge Ham Sang-hun as justices. Moon Hyung-bae and Lee Mi-sun are set to retire next week. The opposition Democratic Party called this move unconstitutional and said it is considering taking legal measures against the nomination. National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-sik also said he will reject the confirmation hearing procedures, calling on Han to apologize and withdraw the nominations. North Korean soldiers cross military demarcation line, warning shots fired. South Korea's military said yesterday it fired warning shots at a group of armed North Korean soldiers who briefly crossed the military demarcation line, known as the MDL, inside the demilitarized zone, the DMZ, around 5 p.m. yesterday. The Joint Chiefs of Staff said that the crossing seems to happen accidental during the North Korean soldiers' regular patrol, but that it is closely monitoring the North's movements. The incident came days after the removal of former President Yoon Suk-yeol from office, raising suspicions on whether this was to test South Korea's military readiness. Korean won falls to lowest level since global financial crisis. The Korean won fell to the lowest level yesterday since March 2009, coming to 1,473.21 against the dollar at the close of market. The South Korean currency weakened markedly against the U.S. dollar amid deepening concerns about the impact of the Donald Trump administration's sweeping tariff plan on the economy. Volatility in the country's financial and foreign exchange markets is expected to persist. The government will maintain close monitoring of the situation with heightened vigilance, the finance ministry said in a release. White House confirms 104% tariff on some Chinese goods. The White House confirmed that the 104% tariff on Chinese imports will begin at midnight Wednesday local time, as President Donald Trump's retaliatory tariffs against 60 countries are also set to go into effect at the same time. The figure includes an additional 50% tariff on Beijing, the initial 34% tariffs announced yesterday, on top of the existing 20% levy. Beijing has refused to meet Trump's deadline to withdraw its own retaliatory levy on the U.S. Trump told reporters that his recent tariffs have been somewhat explosive, but maintained that they were vital for his vision for the U.S. This was News Highlights. It's time for Wagga Wagga. Haley's back.
Hello, hello.
Yes. So for our top story for this segment, earlier I talked about the record-breaking amount in charitable donations for those wildfires, but some people are skeptical. They're kind of suspicious. Where does the money go is a big question. So we're going to fact check this, right?
Right. I mean, as you should, right? Because you're donating, you're hoping it'll go to a good cause. So whenever, and I think this happens in chat rooms too, and this is one of those issues where I do go, well, actually, 사실은. I always get these comments, like if you donate to the charities, they mostly go to the operational funds to keep the charities running, to pay the staff. And I've seen figures up to 90%. Is this true? Well, under the law, donations collected for wildfire recovery, so ones that are earmarked for a specific purpose, must be used for that purpose. So no, you cannot. But the organizations, because somebody has to pay the staff, somebody has to fuel the cars that will get the aid going, they can use within 10% of the donations for their operational purposes. So inevitable costs. However, that also doesn't necessarily mean that they will use the full 10%. So let's take a look at the numbers from the Korean Red Cross in 2022. They only used 3.5% of the donations for their operational fees. And by the way, all of this information is posted on their website and it is disclosed to the Interior Ministry.
Yes, indeed. And, like you just mentioned, these organizations, they need money to fund their organization. They have people there working. So paying staff, that's understandable. So where do they get the money then?
Right. So if you've ever gone to a charity's website and opened up like a kind of, the automatic withdrawal donation system, you get two choices, whether you want to do a general donation or a specified purpose donation.
Sure.
If you click the general donation, that is where they will get the funding for the overall general operational costs.
Okay.
But also the organizations, some of them, especially the larger ones, have ways of making their own money. So for example, Hope Bridge Korea Disaster Relief Association, that's one of the biggest for disaster relief.
Right.
They used 1.9 billion won in operational fees last year, but made far above that in just rent, real estate, and interest from their donations, their deposits alone. So they can cover their own costs. It's the larger ones. And then on top of that, the money goes directly to the residents who have lost their homes without going through local government. So the claim that the money goes to the organization's running costs to keep the organizations running, not true.
Okay, so thanks for fact-checking for us. Well, for our next story, we're going to go to Japan, our neighbor. Japan's labor ministry recognized the suicide of a 24/7 convenience store worker as an industrial disaster. So we need to talk about this case because, I think it's important for countries, whether it be, South Korea and Japan, that have this very much like around the clock, 24/7 culture.
But what's the cost, right, of maintaining this culture? So a 38-year-old man, he, by the way, trigger alert for suicide. He took his own life. He was the manager of a convenience store in Oita Prefecture. So his wife his wife says that her late husband, he hasn't been able to take a day off or have go on vacation for at least a year and 4 months, and that's how long they've been married. So who knows what happened before.
Right.
And then on top of that, he would have to go in urgently to fill in for times when part-time workers didn't show up. There were constant late-night phone calls, and he got an average of 2 hours of sleep per night.
2 hours?
2 hours. So in the note that he left, the deceased wrote, quote, "A restless long shift is a given. I work endlessly, but I'm the only one who struggles." And also that he is being used, or he feels that he's being used.
Right.
So the family launched a case. They launched a case to the labor ministry. And in Japan, when such cases are lodged, the labor ministry will look at 6 months worth of records and work history.
Okay.
And in that investigation, they found that the deceased had not used a single day off during those 6 months.
Wow.
And recognized that he suffered from depression because of this lack of breaks or lack of rest. Local papers pointed out that convenience stores in Japan, they're exacerbating this overwork issue amid a staff shortage. So basically, whomever is available continues to have to go in. Actually, in particular, this particular franchise is 7-Eleven. In the past, in Japan at least, they had a 24-hour operation as a precondition for franchises signing and opening stores.
I see.
And they had to pull that back in 2019 because there was a whole public uproar about this, that they were giving disadvantages to franchises that didn't want to.
Right.
But most stores, out of choice, but I do want to put like a quotation mark around that choice to keep their stores open 24/7.
Yes.
To make sure that their sales meet the threshold that's given by the headquarters. And again, it's not really an issue that's only restricted to Japan.
Of
I mean, we
course.
also do see 24/7 stores all around Korea.
That's true. Something that we need to be aware about, and hopefully doesn't happen here.
Right.
Well, for our next story, we're going to go to Myanmar, where apparently Singapore has deployed. I'm trying to make sure that this is correct.
It's not a typo.
Let me read this correctly. Singapore has deployed cockroaches to the scene to help with rescue efforts. Are we talking about?
We're talking about literal
cockroaches.
바퀴벌레.
Okay.
Right. I won't do the hand gestures.
Yeah, that's not.
These are real cockroaches that are dispatched at disaster sites to navigate and look for signs of life.
Are you serious?
I kid you not. Because they're critters, and what they do is will critter around crevices and underground areas. So, but how and are we actually training the bugs? No, they're fitted with infrared cameras and sensors.
Okay.
But because of the smaller size and traits, they can navigate tight spaces and search under rubble that humans definitely can't. I mean, there are dogs used, but they can sniff around. But if the rubble's too thick, they can't get to it either.
And there we go.
Warning, we have photos of the cockroaches up.
Put your fork,
but they're being
chopsticks down.
Yeah, but they're being used for good purposes. So this is developed by Singapore's Home Team Science and Technology Agency, HTX, in collaboration with Nanyang Technological University and Class Engineering Solutions.
Yes.
So engineers say that cockroaches have not found survivors yet in Myanmar.
Okay.
I mean, of course, we're on to, week 2 of the rescue efforts.
After the big earthquake.
But they have aided in getting detailed area scans where it is difficult for humans and even dogs to access. By the way, this is kind of a milestone moment because it is the first time that these insect hybrid robots are being used in the field.
Okay.
By the way, they're being fed carrots and water. Who knew? I'm just, that's...
They eat carrots and water?
I mean, I knew about the water, but carrots, there we go. They can remain functional in the field despite things like high temperatures, rough terrain, and power outages. I have heard, I mean, I don't know how scientific it is, like they'll be able to survive like nuclear bombs or anything. So there we go. This is a field of the rescue robotics sector, and the dispatch of the cockroaches, this is about a year earlier than anticipated. So it is expected to make leaps and bounds for the development in the field.
I can get behind this idea. Let's put the critters,
I mean,
to work.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah.
They live off
definitely
of
should.
us, so...
And it's for such a good thing, so that's why. Okay, for our final story, we're going to bring it back to South Korea, to a family that welcomed its, is this not a type, 7th baby,
No
really?
typos, just unbelievable stories. A couple in Changwon County gave birth to their 7th child, a healthy baby girl. So congratulations. The county chief welcomed this birth and said that they're providing a variety of... By the way, if you think about it, 7th baby, that's 10 times the average fertility rate in South Korea.
That's so true.
Anyways.
Mind-boggling.
So, I mean, of course, they did it, to expand their family and for whatever reasons they did. But also, they're getting a variety of support measures as they should.
I hope so.
I mean, please.
Yes.
So for the on the county level, we're talking about the basic birth stipend, the cash bonuses, postpartum care, supplies, diapers, hospital bills. So roughly up to 100 million won, 1억 won in total. So not all cash, but also goods as well. And I've seen comments like, they're like specifically naming like diaper companies and whatever. I'm like, what are you? Ding, ding, ding. and company doing? Go give this family baby formula and, diapers. So the county chief said they'll work on creating a good environment for families and come up with practical policies to encourage further family planning and expansion, essentially making it a good place for people to have children.
Indeed. I mean, it goes beyond that. I mean, they need a car.
They need maybe
so
even
many
2
things.
cars to shuttle the kids around.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
7th baby. So bringing that birth rate up
right
on their own.
Well done.
Yes. Thank you for all the news. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Have a lovely day. Thank you, Haley.
Bye-bye.
And now it's time for your updated traffic and weather. It's time for your updated traffic. It's now 8:15 on this Wednesday morning. There is an accident to report on Byeongyang going away from the city right past the Oryun Tunnel right now. It's been cleared up, but there's a lot of backup ensuing. Next up, congested from 중앙대로 from Songgong 3-way intersection to Samjeon intersection. Also busy on Gwangan Bridge, that top portion going towards Namcheondong. Also looking slow on the Dongso overpass from Hwangyang ramp to the old Gaegum tollgate. And lastly, congestion on Jeonpo-daero from Jeonpo intersection to the Munjeon underpass. It's currently 11 degrees. It's gone up a couple degrees here in Busan. Clear skies. It's going to go up to 19. However, there's a chance of rain in the evening. Elsewhere, cloudy across the country with rain forecast in Jeju, and it's going to move across the nation by evening. Some areas will see yellow dust, 황사 with the rain. And you might think, well, it's going to rain. No, it's still quite dry. So until the rain does come, we have to be extra careful with anything that might ignite any flammable materials. This was your traffic and weather. Oh no, is it? It is Dancing Queen by ABBA.
Digging the dancing queen.
I swear we're a news show. We are. Just kidding. I love all the song selections, and that was a song that Souvenir mentioned yesterday. So we played it for you today. Thanks to our producer. So today we've been talking about things. Do you tend to believe things you see or read or hear, whether it's news, media, social media, from your friends, acquaintances, even family members? And it's like your responses are pretty much all over the board. Some people are, I don't want to say gullible, but they just take it with, okay, if you say it, I believe you. Other people, though, they tend to fact check. Many people chiming in saying that, yes, definitely they're a fact checker, or it depends on the source, meaning like, and Souvenir says this, 저도 팩트 체크합니다. 요즘 챗 땡땡 많이 쓰는데 얘도 항상 fact checked 합니다. But that's a great point. You got to fact check even the source that is fact checking for you sometimes, because I hope you all do realize that I know a lot of people use generative AI, those programs out there. You got to be careful. They do a lot of scraping, right, off the internet, and they probably give you some really good responses, but sometimes not 100% accurate. So I certainly hope that we are at least a little bit skeptical, that we can be healthy in asking questions, right? It doesn't have to go as far as conspiracy theories, but to be skeptical at times, especially when it comes to really important information. Anyhow, we're going to now get to our special interview, a very domestic issue that may affect all of us. I'll be back in just a moment. Just last month, South Korea's National Assembly passed a major amendment to the Commercial Act. And so the goal was all about improving corporate governance by strengthening the board of directors' duties to protect all shareholders, including minority stakeholders. However, acting president Han덕su vetoed the bill, saying that it might harm business decision-making and increase legal risks. So this has definitely sparked a national debate on just how much responsibility company leaders should have. We have invited back to the airwaves Professor Shin Myung-gyu, Associate Professor in the School of Economics at Yonsei University. Let's say hi to him. Hi, welcome back, Professor.
Good morning.
Yes. So for those unfamiliar, Professor, can you explain what the Commercial Act Amendment is and why it's so important right now?
Yeah, the key in the revision to the Commercial Act is to expand the fiduciary duty of the board members. Under the current law, the board members are required to work in the company's best interest. But the amendment further requires the board to protect the interests of minority shareholders, which has been ignored under the current act. And so it can potentially address the poor corporate governance and the so-called career discount. And this has become an important issue with a series of events that we have seen for the last several years, like the fundraising issue of Hana Aerospace or other firms that try to inherit firms through affecting stock prices as examples, that many large firms use the stock market to maximize the majority owners or maybe 재벌 interest. Many minority shareholders were negatively affected by such behaviors.
Yes, and Professor, you mentioned a term that I was going to ask you about later, but I'm going to ask now. The term Korea discount. What does this exactly mean, and how does this pertain to what we're talking about?
The Korea discount refers to the phenomenon that the stock price in Korea is undervalued compared to what it should be. To me, this is somewhat in line with the value program that the Korean government imposed last year to boost the stock market. If the government does not well function, it is not easy to expect that the future profits of the firm are high, which discount the stock price, because in principle, stock price is the weighted sum of the future dividend, which is heavily affected by the profits. As can be inferred from the well-known case on charges of stock price manipulations and others, the corporate governance has been one of the major problems in the Korean economy.
Yes.
And especially at the time when the market investors put more attention on ESG, it's natural to expect that the governance issue in Korea would be the factor that lower the value of Korean stocks.
Right. Thanks for explaining how this pertains to our story today. And now going back to the amendment itself, it was quickly vetoed by acting President Han덕su. So what reasons did he give for rejecting the bill?
Yeah, he vetoed very immediately. And one of the main reasons behind his veto is that board members can face additional uncertainty that they do not have under the current law. Under the current law, what the board should do is to maximize the firm's benefit or profit, and the decision in accordance with it, whether it is successful or not, should be fine. However, if the law further requires the board to meet the demand of minority shareholders, the problem may become more complicated, especially when the requirement of the minority shareholders is not directly related to the firm's profit. Let me give you an example. Okay. If the minority shareholders require more dividends, even when the firm's financial status is not that good, satisfying both firms and such shareholders' objective is not that easy, so that the decision is not easily taken by the board members.
I see. And thanks for that example, that explanation. So you also mentioned a term, fiduciary duties, in Korean, 신인 의무. This amendment aimed to expand the fiduciary duties of the corporate board members. So if you can kind of explain in layman's terms exactly what does this mean and why is this important?
Yeah, in order to understand the duty, let me give you the case of the firm and its CEO.
Okay.
In general, CEO and other board members are not the owner of the firms. They are hired by the owners or majority of the shareholders who own the part of the business. But each shareholder cannot participate in the firm's decision making in many reasons. And they hire the CEO as a principal with the hope that they will do their best. And this constitutes the CEO's duty, that CEO should work to meet funds or the shareholders' interests and should not maximize their own interests.
Sure.
And this is important because it makes the whole market system that we have nowadays works. If CEOs do not meet the duty, principal agent problem, which is a very classical problem in economics, arises, and we would see the kind of the market failure where the firms do not work well, and we see a lot of problems in decision making and so on.
Indeed. So I can see why this is so important to what we're talking about right now. I also want to talk about the critics. Critics argue that, stronger legal duties could scare away business leaders or kind of slow down the decision-making process. Do you think this is a real concern, especially for the culture of the Korean companies, the conglomerates?
Yes, so some points out that is a kind of problem that we can see, and as I pointed out earlier, the benefit of the firm and the action required by the small investors do not always coincide. Then the board members will not be easy to make decision, especially when such a concern exists. So maybe that makes the firm to not the best thing, but as an economist, what I want to see is more concrete number that is on the formal analysis based on economic or maybe the financial method, because we do not have enough evidence whether this kind of law is harmful for the firms or not. So we should see more evidence whether this would be good for the firms or not. Maybe as is well known, bad corporate governance was pointed out as the most important reason behind the credit discount by the survey on Korean economists took last year, I think, and the revision of the law may improve the situation. So maybe we can see a better stock market than before.
I see.
So nobody is sure, I think.
Well, Professor, looking ahead, what do you think is the best way to really balance this, to balance economic growth with also fair and transparent corporate practices? Because, let's face it, looking at the, past history of Korea and certain companies and certain conglomerates, sometimes not always very transparent.
Yeah, for me, one of the most important thing that we should have is the transparency of the corporate governance, because it can be one of the keys to boost the stock market. And according to a recent report from one of the major research institutes in Korea, KCMI, what they show is that small investors have increased their investment on the foreign stocks at the annual rate of about 40% since 2020. So rather than investing in the Korean stock market, more and more people are investing in the foreign stock markets. And I think one of the reasons is because they feel that the corporate governance is really one of the problems in this Korean stock market and want to invest in the other assets. And this would lower the demand for the Korean stocks and worsen the financial conditions of the firm. So it may harm the economic growth in the end, because the lower stock price makes the firms to invest less because they do not have enough fund. So if we can resolve such an issue, maybe we can get into the status where we have more transparent stock market and the firms can increase more, can get more funds through the better evaluations of their stock prices, and we can have higher growth. So even though there are a lot of steps that we should take further, but I think we can improve the situation with the more transparency.
I see. And I don't know if you can answer this, but just in case, for this particular Commercial Act amendment, is it pretty much dead in the water, or is there a chance, is there a re-vote?
For that, I don't know. So
Okay. So I apologize, but thank you so much for covering all the details of what this act, this amendment, what it could have been, and why both sides were fighting for and against it. Thanks for joining us today, Professor.
Thank you for having me today.
Once again, this was Professor Shin Myung-gyu, and he talked about this 상법 개정안. And this was vetoed. And we're going to have to see if this goes through a revote process, which I believe might be true in the National Assembly. But we're going to follow up on this to see if there is going to be a revote, and we'll bring the details to you, the listeners, as well. We're going to take a short song break. Here is Me Too by Meghan Trainor.
Thing I see over there, that's me standing in the mirror. What's that icy thing hanging around my neck? That's gold. Show me some respect. Oh, I thank God every day that I woke up feeling this way, and I can't help loving myself, and I don't need nobody else. Nuh-uh. I was you, I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. If I was you, I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. I walk in like a timepiece. I go straight to VIP. I never pay for my drinks. My entourage behind me. My life's a movie, Tom Cruise. So bless me, baby. And even if they try to, they can't do it like I do. I thank God every day that I woke up feeling this way, and I can't help loving myself, and I don't need nobody else. No, if I was you, I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. If I was you, I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me Let's go. I thank God every day that I woke up feeling this way. And I can't help loving myself. And I don't need nobody else. No, baby. If I was you, I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me. If I was you, I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. If I was you, I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. If I was you, I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
It's now time for Jennifer and Skills 101. Good morning.
Morning. What a beautiful day.
I know. I just realized somebody sent in, 최윤정님 sent in such beautiful flowers. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're yellow. So I'm going to go with forsythia. 아닌가요? What's in Korean? 개나리?
제가 안 보여서 지금.
The yellow flowers, I think it's 개나리. I think.
Yeah.
I'm so bad with Korean flower names. They look like forsythia to me. But anyhow, thank you for sending in photos.
But the cherry blossoms are almost
I know.
gone.
Yesterday,
they're like snowflakes.
Snowflakes. I felt like I was like at a wedding. People were like
beautiful
the blossoms at me, but
makes
no.
such a big difference.
Right. And soon they're all going to be gone. So let's enjoy them while we can. For our text topic today, though, we are talking about whether you have a tendency to believe what people send you, whether it's like news articles or if they say, oh, this is a good product. Buy it, Jennifer.
Oh.
Yeah. Or they send you a link or just news and media. Do you have a tendency to kind of just accept it at face value or do you kind of fact check?
Well, I used to be the one who's easily swayed.
Oh, okay.
But now I'm trying to use my critical thinking skill more.
Yes, the skills that you teach us, right? All right. Well, thanks for sharing. We're going to get into our topic. What's it about today?
Well, today's topic was actually inspired by a question I received recently. Someone asked, what can I do when I feel mentally and emotionally drained at work? Like my mind just isn't working the way it used to. I mean, you're just sitting there.
What a
but
good
your mind
topic.
is elsewhere.
몸은 있는데
네.
영혼은 딴 데 있어? kind of like that? Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, we can relate to that, right?
I think a lot of people can relate to this, right?
Yeah.
So, is there a phrase that we can use?
Actually, there is. In Korean, there's a phrase we sometimes use, 마음의 감기, which literally means a cold of the heart or a cold of the mind.
I've never heard that. 마음의 감기?
It's not a medical diagnosis, so you don't have to worry about it. But,
right.
But it describes that emotional fog, that mental slump where nothing feels quite right. Nothing's right.
I like the metaphor, though. As soon as you said it, it kind of like struck a nerve, I'm sure, for many people, right, out there. Because, I am getting over my cold. And it does definitely slow you down. Your body, emotionally, just mentally, just feel kind of drained. And so it makes perfect sense. 마음의 감기.
For different reasons.
Yes.
Like these days, I have a terrible back pain. And that also affects my routine.
I'm sure.
And, my mood. Yeah. So people often try to push through it, thinking they are just like being lazy or unmotivated. But what they really need is a break, not more pressure.
Oh, are you listening, bosses? We need a break. We don't want to push through. So, what causes this? I mean, are there symptoms to this? What should we be on the lookout for?
Well, emotional slumps can show up in different ways.
Okay.
Feeling constantly tired, even after sleeping a lot, losing interest in things you used to enjoy, or just zoning out in conversations or meetings, or just a feeling that you are going through the motions. You know?
I think who out there says, I've never felt this? I think all of us at some point, whether you work outside of the home or, you are working from home, we all feel this, don't we?
그냥 꾸역꾸역 하는 것 같을 때가 있잖아요. You're
근데
just going through the motions.
진짜 힘들어요.
Right.
It's difficult, right?
Right.
And then this whole idea was oh, what's wrong with me? I think it's a common question we ask
Feel
ourselves.
guilty, yeah.
Yeah, 왜 이러지? Why? Why am I feeling this way? Yes.
That's such a common experience, and not just at work. Students, parents, even people in creative fields. Anyone can hit that mental wall. It's your brain's way of saying, I need space.
Oh.
I need a change.
Oh. Okay, so what usually causes these types of slumps?
Well, a lot of things, a mix of things. It can be chronic stress, poor sleep, emotional overload, even boredom. You feel like you're worthless,
Oh, no.
So, sometimes when we are constantly trying to be productive or available,
yes,
we forget to pause and recover.
I like that word, pause. It doesn't mean you have to go on vacation, but just taking a brief pause, right? And
it's having too little can also sometimes cause this.
I also think that we often are our own worst critics. We're very critical of ourselves, right? And we expect so much from ourselves.
That's right. And that usually backfires.
Okay.
If you just wait and wait and wait. And what really helps is recognizing the signs early and responding with care, not criticism.
True. Even of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Even self-criticism. So what do we need to be doing then instead?
Well, first, give yourself permission to rest. But I know that sounds unrealistic. We got a job, When you're juggling work, school, or parenting, it's not easy.
Yes.
So I'm not talking about taking a full day off. You got to go to work. But even a few minutes of intentional rest can help.
Intentional rest.
Yeah, intentionally. 의도적인 휴식이 필요합니다.
So what do you mean by this? We need some specifics.
For example, if you are taking a walk, leave your phone in your pocket, or even better, don't listen to anything, not even music. Just walk slowly, notice the colors around you, feel the breeze, and really pay attention to your breathing. That kind of mindful walk can reset your nervous system in just 5 minutes. But this is something I do. When I take a walk, I usually listen to a podcast or music. But these days, I try not to do that because my mind is not fully resting when I do that.
That's true. Okay. So I think that's doable. So this intentional rest. And, like you say, as you point out, it is different from just taking a break, right?
Yeah, that's right. And here's another tip. Create a mini reset ritual for yourself. It could be making a cup of tea and holding the warm cup in your hands for a moment, or just stepping into the restroom, closing your eyes and taking 3 slow breaths, or I call this micro recovery moments.
Micro recovery moments.
Yeah, it
sounds fancy.
Ritual. Yeah.
Kind of like mini emotional pit stops.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. That's a good one. Yeah.
Okay.
And if your brain feels overloaded, try a sensory reset. Splash cold water in your face, hold something with texture, or smell something refreshing like citrus. So engaging your senses can interrupt the mental fog and bring you back to the present.
Okay.
But I know when you have a makeup on, splashing cold water on your face, it may not work so well. But
No. Yeah, the mascara's going to start running and got to reapply and, you just don't have the time.
Try your own way.
Yeah. But, it doesn't, from what you're saying, it doesn't sound like it has to be something huge, right? Just something a little.
Something little, right. Reset doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes it's just giving your mind a chance to exhale, even in the middle of a busy day.
Not just your breathing, but your mind to exhale. I like that. I like that. So
Yeah.
what about like the inner dialogue that may be like, going on within yourself?
That's the worst enemy,
Yes.
isn't it? If your mind is tired, try replacing like, what's wrong with me? That's the kind of question we often ask ourselves. So replace that with, what do I need right now? What can I do right now? That shift in language can open the door to self-compassion.
I like that. Because usually we all just go, 왜 이러지 오늘? Like we say that like out loud and to ourselves, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like what's wrong with me today? Like
so many negative words.
Yeah, right in there.
바보 같아. The silly girl.
Right. Like what do I need right now? How can I shift my focus? How can I intentionally rest?
How can I take care of myself? It's a better question, right?
I like this. It's kind of a way of kind of checking in on yourself.
Yeah, think of it like this. If you had a physical cold, you wouldn't expect yourself to run a marathon. You would rest, hydrate, and let your body heal, right? So your mind deserves the same kind of care.
So true, but it's like oftentimes we're so busy with the physical, we forget about the emotional, mental stress, all that. And don't these slumps for some people go a little bit longer?
Oh, yeah. If the fog doesn't lift after a couple of weeks, after trying everything mentioned here, if it starts to seriously affect your daily life, it might be time to go talk to the counselor or therapist, a specialist. Getting help is not a sign of weakness. It's a healthy choice.
Yes,
so
indeed.
in Korea, in particular, we got to change our mindset. Like, people hesitate seeking help, professional help, right?
Yes.
So we have to change our mind about that.
That's true. Change our perceptions, get rid of the stigma and all that too, right?
맞습니다. 네.
Well, anything else you want to add before I let you go today?
And the more we learn to listen and respond with care, the faster we bounce back.
That's true.
That is the rule.
Got it. Nice and sweet. Thank you so much for going over all of this.
Thank
and
you.
of course, we'll check in with you next week. Thank you, Jennifer.
Bye-bye.
Well, with this, we're going to take a little song break. How about this? 꽃송이가 by Busker Busker.
배드민턴 치자고 꼬셔 커피 한잔 하자고 불러 동네 한번 걷자고 꼬셔 넌 한 번도 그래 안 된다는 말이 없었지 꽃송이가 그래 피었네 꽃송이가 그 꽃 한 송이가 그래 피었구나 거리의 사람들 수많은 사람들 그 길의 사람들 그래 나는 내게 얼마만큼 특별한 건지 그게 어려운 거야 그게 어려운 거라 그게 어려운 거야 맛있는 거 먹자고 꼬셔 영화 보러 가자고 불러 단대 호수 걷자고 꼬셔 넌 한 번도 그래 안 된다는 말이 없었지 꽃송이가 그래 피었네 꽃송이가 그 꽃 한 송이가 그래 피었구나 거리의 사람들 수많은 사람들 그 길의 사람들 그래 나는 내게 얼마만큼 특별한 건지 그게 어려운 거야 그게 어려운 거라 그게 어려운 거야 좋아 하모니카 솔로 꽃송이가 그래 피었네 꽃송이가 그 그 꽃 한 송이가 그래 피었구나. 거리의 사람들 수많은 사람들 그 길의 사람들 그래 나는 내게 얼마만큼 특별한지 그게 어려운 거야. 그게 어려운 거라. 그게 어려운 거야.
What a great song. And I know that the cherry blossoms, that they're going to go away very soon. So as we try to enjoy the last few days of the beautiful, beautiful blossoms. Also, yes, I did mention that it might rain later on in our region. In other areas of Korea, you might get rain sooner. But that does not mean we should kind of feel relaxed in our vigilance against starting any type of fire, because our country, we suffered so much because of these wildfires the past few weeks, and people are still trying to recover from that. And, so anyhow, I just want to wish you all a beautiful day today as we try to enjoy spring. And by the way, spring is, we always say, it's so short. But as Jennifer was saying earlier today, to take these mini breaks today, and if you have the opportunity to do so, to step outside and just put your phone away, put the ear, things away, and just take in everything around you today. I think that would be a lovely day to get over that hump today. It is hump day as well. Wishing you nothing but the best today, health, happiness, and of course, safety above all else. Let's end it with this one. A lot of dancing going on. Let's Groove by Earth, Wind, and Fire. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.
That boogie down, down the whole ground. The boogie down, down the whole ground. The boogie down, down the whole ground. The boogie down, down. Let's groove tonight. Share the spice of life. Famous lights tonight. We gonna groove tonight. Let you know, girl, you're looking good, you're out of sight. Alright, just move yourself and you glide like a 747 and you lose yourself in the sky among the clouds in your heaven comes. Let this groove right up the fuse, it's alright, alright, alright. Let this groove set in the shoes, so stand up, alright, alright. Let me tell you what you can do with my love. Alright, gotta let you know, girl, you're looking good, you're out of sight. Alright, just tell the DJ to play your favorite tune, then you know it's okay. What you found is happening now. Let this groove right up the fuse, it's alright, alright, alright. Let this groove set in the shoes, so stand up, stand up, alright. Let this groove get you to know it's alright, alright, alright. Yeah. Let this groove set in the shoes, so stand up, alright, alright. You find peace of mind on the floor. Take a little time, come and see, groove me, give a little sign. I'll be there.